Welcome to the Courage to Be podcast. I am your host, Tanya Vasallo. It's been 8 weeks since I landed in Bali, and I know I've been quiet, not because I had nothing to say, but because I was busy living it before I could share anything with you. I know I have friends back home that keep asking me, so how's Bali? What's it like? And I realized that, I think that everyone has like these expectations that it's going to be this beautiful paradise, and I've realized that I wanted to share it in a place where everyone can come and listen to it, because I've gotten tired of just like sending messages here and there. Like, I haven't been able to keep up. So if you're listening to this now and you haven't gotten a personal text message from me or photos uploaded, because I haven't been sharing on social media, you can listen here through the podcast, and it'll be like us having a tea or coffee together. Because what I've realized, that I know that the podcast is called The Courage to Be, and it's a perfect opportunity to use the courage to be, this transition, this move to Bali, as a place, as a platform where I can share my lessons and everything that I'm experiencing right now. And that way, if you want to listen to it, they're bite-sized episodes that I'll be doing for a little bit of things that I'm noticing, things that I'm experiencing. And they'll be like 5-10 minutes max, so that you can just see what I'm going through and what life has been here. So again, for a while, you'll hear a series of episodes with the insights from this move. And I've shared in previous episodes about transitions. I also shared leading up to our leave through the summer about what it has felt like to get things ready, to sell things. We really didn't sell. If you go back to those episodes, we weren't selling. We donated so many different things. We got the house ready. So there's so many questions. I'm sure that you're looking for answers from those podcasts leading up to that. And now with this transition, I can share with you, all about it. And today I want to focus on transitions and why I haven't talked about this earlier and I haven't been able to share before, because what this particular transition has been looking like, and doing it now as a family and a whole new continent, it feels very different. I was talking to a friend the other day, and she reminded me, as she was asking me how the transition's going. I've been here now for 8 weeks. And she reminded me when she studied abroad in the Netherlands, she was about 18 or 19. And she said that some days were amazing, but that the other days she was homesick. And that really resonated with me, because I haven't really been acknowledging that. I think people hear I moved to Bali, and maybe they expect me to say it's paradise, that it's incredible. But the truth is, I'm still in the middle of this cultural shock. Our whole family is. And there's things that we're loving, and there's also things that we're missing. And there's hard days and easier days. All of these are true. And it's so in alignment with Bali too. But it made me think of my own journeys and my own transitions as I've moved abroad several times. I was like, wow, my sophomore year of high school, I studied in Ohio in the States. I came for a year as a sophomore. I came from Spain. I was born and raised there. And that was my first big leap. And that took a lot of courage. Then later in my 20s, I returned to the States for my last 2 years in college in St. Louis. That was another adjustment, different. That transition looked different. And it was stepping into independence. It was a new phase of my life. And then in my 30s, my husband and I, my husband's American, we decided to move from the States back to Spain for 2 years. And that was a very different transition too, because I hadn't lived in Spain as a working adult before. And for him, it was his first time living there, and the first time living abroad. He didn't even speak Spanish when he arrived there. So that came with its own set of challenges too, for us as a relationship. But this move to Bali feels different still, and that's the part that I had forgotten until I spoke to my friend, because it's not just another country, it's a whole new continent that I'd never even been to. There are a lot more layers of adjustment, and we're doing it now as a family. So there's a whole new set of responsibilities, logistics, It's a different kind of courage. Let's put it that way. And I remember, so I'm intertwining different things that have shown up with friends that I've spoken to. And I remember one of my storytelling teachers telling me once that stories aren't always ready to be told right away. They need time. And that's exactly what these past 8 weeks have been for me. So if I've been quiet and you haven't been hearing all the details about it, the silence, it was in part busyness. I had to open up new bank accounts, figuring out transportation, setting up a new life in a new country. It was also part overwhelm. I was arriving in a new place I'd never been before. We lost our home that we had secured for the next 6 months, and we moved 10 days before school started. And in that first 10-day span, we slept in 7 different beds, hotels, Airbnbs, all different things because we had lost that house. And I'll share about that on a whole other episode. And then Ben got sick with severe fever and Bali belly. I don't think it was Bali belly, but stomach problems. Let's put it that way. For 10 days, he lost approximately 10 to 15 pounds is our guess. And that happened the day before school started. And we still didn't have our home that we're at now. So there was a lot of exhaustion, overwhelm, busyness, and I couldn't record podcasts. I had recorded some episodes before I left, but it's a reminder, that now that I'm ready to start sharing these stories, I'm here. So I hope that you grab your cup of tea, your cup of coffee, your glass of wine, whatever your beverage of choice is as you're listening to the podcast, or maybe you're listening in your car. And I'm going to see if I can start cranking out a couple episodes a week, at least for a while, so that you can hear a little bit of this transition. And one of this, as I'm wrapping up this particular episode of, stories sometimes need time to be told, but it also reminds me what I'm getting, as I'm sharing here. One of the things, the gifts that I've gotten from Bali is that it holds both the light and the dark, both of those sides side by side, and they have these checkered cloths around statues and shrines if you've ever been here before. And it's a reminder to them that beauty and ugliness, comfort and discomfort, fun and overwhelm, they can all exist together. And so the lesson for me is that courage isn't always about speaking immediately. Sometimes it's about waiting until the story is ready and then showing up honestly, like I'm doing right now, and vulnerably. And maybe you've had a season like that too. I'd love to hear, where you've stayed quiet, not because you didn't care, but because you needed time to live it first, to go through it, to process it. And that's what it's been like for me. So I'm finally starting to share my stories, and I'm finally ready. And until our next episode, I hope that you can also choose courage over comfort. If you loved today's episode, it would mean so much if you rate and review The Courage to Be on Apple Podcast. Not only does it help the show to grow, but it also gets you in the running for something amazing. Every month, I draw one lucky winner to receive a complimentary 7-night, 8-day vacation. You'll get to pick from over 3,000 beautiful resorts worldwide. You just cover the taxes and fees like you would with a travel rewards. Airfare is not included. And if you want to double your chances, along with your Apple Podcast review, leave a couple of comments on YouTube. That counts as a second entry. Just send your screenshots to help.thecouragetobe@gmail.com, and you'll find the email in the show notes too. It only takes a moment, and who knows, your next adventure might be closer than you think. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you on our next episode of the Courage to Be podcast.